Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Nathan Rogers, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Captain Robert Curtis, who will shortly be retiring after 47 years of dedicated service in the Australian Defence Force. Sir, we thank you for your service. 2026 marks 125 years of dedicated service by the Australian Army and its predecessors. Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private William Frederick Death. We warmly welcome the international delegation representing the Defence Cooperation Scholarship Program. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial, students on behalf of Our Lady's Assumption School in attendance from Dianella, Western Australia, and students on behalf of Star of the Sea College in attendance from Brighton, Victoria. If you are able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozieres, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance of the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved. And here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private William Frederick Death. William Death was born on the 28th of March 1918, the son of George and Ethel Death of Grenfell, New South Wales. Known as Bill, he attended Carragable Public School and Portland High School and went on to work as a farm labourer on the farm from the family property Roselee. William Death enlisted in the 2nd Australian Imperial Force on the 6th of June 1940. After marching into camp at Liverpool, he joined a training battalion and in November became part of the newly established 2nd 30th Battalion. The first commander of the battalion, Lieutenant Colonel F.G. Blackjack Galligan, trained the men drawn from Grenfell, Goulburn, North Sydney, Randwick, Wargrove and Wagga Wagga hard. They became known as Galligan's Greyhounds. The battalion was part of the 8th Division's 27th Brigade, the last AIF infantry brigade raised for service during the Second World War. Death had an early infringement of military discipline during his training, found absence without leave at the end of January 1941. He was confined to barracks for 3 days as punishment. At the end of July 1941, Private Death and the main component of the 2nd 30th sailed to Singapore on board the Dutch ship Johan van Oldenbarnevelt as part of the convoy carrying the 27th Brigade. The battalion went to Malaya, where it would soon put what it had learnt into practice. Just before midnight on the 7th of December, Japanese forces landed at Singora and Patani in Thailand and Kota Baru in northern Malaya. They fought against British and Indian troops until the B Company of the 2nd 30th ambushed the Japanese at Gemincha Bridge on the 14th of January 1942. The rest of the battalion, located to the rear of this position, engaged the Japanese the next day. It was a brilliant ambush and the first AIF attack against the Japanese. The 2nd 30th suffered 20 killed or missing, believed dead, and 58 wounded, with Japanese casualties thought to be about 1,000. The battalion had fulfilled the task of acting as a shock absorber and inflicting as many casualties as possible before falling back. Death and his battalion went on to fight at Air Hitam and then in the defence of Singapore Island. But the Japanese advance could not be stopped. And on the 15th of February, the British commander on Singapore surrendered. Initially imprisoned in the sprawling Changi prisoner of war camp, it was not long before Australian prisoners of war were allocated to external work parties. The first parties were dispatched around Singapore and southern Malaya. Death, however, became part of H Force, one of the last labour forces to leave Changi on the 5th of May 1943. Sent to the most distant and crudest camps in Thailand to work on the Burma-Thai Railway, the men were exposed to the most obvious case of the Japanese placing completion of the line above the lives of those who built it. Many of the men of H Force were unwell even before they left Singapore, and the main cause of death of many Australian prisoners was illness. Malaria alone would have killed few men in the prime of life, but combined with malnutrition, ulcers, beriberi, dysentery and general weakness, it was lethal. William Death died of cholera on the 30th of June 1943. He was 25 years old. Today, his remains lie buried in Kanchanaburi War Cemetery in Thailand, underneath the inscription chosen by his grieving family: sadly missed by loving father and all at home. The grief of the Death family was compounded by the loss of William's brother Ernest, who died as a result of an aircraft accident while serving with the Royal Australian Air Force in England. William Death's name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private William Frederick Death, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozieres or in the low scrub at Gallipoli with these poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.